Hi, another Mrs. H psychology video. This is for paper 3, the gender topic. This is part 2. Okay, following on from part 1, this one is on androgyny. The previous one was just on sex and gender and stereotyping. Okay, so part 2 is androgyny and measuring androgyny, as in BEM's sex role inventory. Okay, so these are references I've used to make this, and you might quite like to have a go at BEM's sex role inventory yourself and score it. If you Google, you'll be able to find it. So what is androgyny? So it is a term which is used to describe one person who possesses equal amounts of both typically masculine and feminine qualities. So be careful. Do not say this is about physical looks. We're not talking about what somebody looks like, which is kind of in the media at the moment, but it's about somebody's characteristics, their qualities, so their internal qualities. So using BEM's characteristics, examples would be masculine, ambitious, assertive, competitive; feminine, affectionate, loyal, sensitive, understanding. So for example, if they asked you in the exam, give an illustration of somebody, you would want to say something like a male who is ambitious but also sensitive, or a female who is competitive and understanding, for example. So we're talking about one person who has both masculine and feminine qualities, and we're talking about, it is important on one of the mark schemes, it actually said that we need to be saying they have equal amounts of masculine and feminine, so make sure you suggest that as well. So BEM's sex role inventory. A little bit of background. She devised this. It's a psychometric test for measuring androgyny and looking at masculinity and femininity. She saw them as two independent dimensions, not at opposite ends of the spectrum. And why is that significant? Okay, so basically it's significant because we're not talking about somebody being only masculine or feminine. In other words, one person, as we've said, could have qualities of both, what we're sort of traditionally seen as masculine qualities as well as feminine. And she sees it as a very positive, very desirable condition because it links with mental health. Okay, so a little bit of information about her method in case they ask you how you would investigate it. So participants were given a list of 60 traits, 20 stereotypically masculine, 20 stereotypically feminine, and 20 neutral. They were then asked to rate them on a 7-point rating scale, like a Likert scale, okay, from being never true to almost always true, something like that. And various different ways to measure this and to score it, but at its simplest level, the total of the masculine was taken away from the total feminine scores, I should say, and the closer to 0 you were, the more androgynous. But be warned, there are various different ways of measuring and different people comment on that. And basically her test was later revised to create 4 categories, and here are the categories. So we can see from this that if you had a high masculine and a high feminine score, you were androgynous. A low masculine and a high feminine, you would be feminine. Low masculine and high masculine here, low feminine would be masculine, and if you were low on both, you were considered undifferentiated. Okay, and so referring to one of the texts, 1974, when she used her BSRI, she found 34% of males and 27% of females were seen as androgynous, and obviously that suggested to her that people are not just masculine or feminine. They can be a mixture, so that was significant. Okay, so what? What's this all about? Well, she says it links with mental health. She thinks that differences between males and females are socially constructed, but unfortunately that means it constrains them, it limits them. So if you are trying to live according to these social stereotypes, that's going to inhibit your natural development. So in other words, it's going to inhibit what you want to do, and that is going to impact on your mental health. Okay, so it increases mental ill health because you're trying to fit into something that you don't really want to fit into. So to encourage androgyny, she says, is to try to get rid of these sex role stereotypes and therefore increase mental health, psychological health. So according to BEM, those individuals who score high on androgyny are going to be psychologically more healthy than those who will either score just masculine or feminine. Okay, and that links with, it has an impact on depression, for example. And there is other support, like Flaherty's support, that found that androgynous individuals had better emotional well-being, and they had more adaptable behaviour. But let's evaluate this. Okay, so the first evaluation point is the strength. It has high validity and reliability. So you can read through this to show that. Second one is that there is discussion. So this is challenging her belief, because she thinks it links with high mental health. Others disagree and say it really links that all high masculine is more mentally healthy. So you can take a read of that. So the criticism is that she didn't take into account the social and the cultural context that we are living in today, for example. To have a pause the video and have a look at those. Further evaluative points. So issues over temporal, in other words, historical validity and cultural validity. So we know that this was done 40 odd years ago, a long time ago. So have a look at those points. And also remember, this is a self-report. It's a psychometric questionnaire. So we do get things like response bias, in other words, how people will respond to items on the questionnaire, and also social desirability. They're going to want to look good, and that's going to question the scientific credibility of it. But, we can counter that a little bit. On its own, it might not tell us very much, but if we used it, for example, to correlate with other tests, like tests of mental health or self-esteem, we could see whether androgyny really is effective in leading to psychological health. So there is further information you can read. So, for example, from Richard Gross. And also I made a video some time ago, which is a little bit more detail on it. So have a look at that as well. So we don't need a huge amount for this little section of the specification, but hopefully that's been helpful for you. And if it is, please like it. It gives me feedback as to whether these are being used and whether they are useful for people. And obviously I'll allow comments, so if there's anything you want clarifying, I'll see if I can help you.